Hey, what's up everybody? Dylan here from Iceberg TV. Today we have the fresh, retooled version of the Simon Time-Lapse. This has been a pretty controversial disc ever since its initial release. The prototypes, a lot of people got upset by them because they were so limited, almost nobody could get their hands on one. And then the first runs and the special editions came out and they were so overstable that almost nobody could even make a useful case to even put them in the bag. Then they came out with the fission ones and they were better, but they were so understable, they didn't really do what the time-lapse was supposed to do altogether. So now we have the retooled version of the Simon Time-Lapse. I'll give you guys a quick side profile and then we'll get straight to it and give these a throw. This is the old mold on the left. This is the new mold on the right. There are a few differences here you can really see across the top of the disc, particularly on this shoulder here. It's a bit more round and has a little bit more characteristic of more of an understable mold. Obviously this mold isn't going to be super understable, but it definitely looks less stable than the original mold. Now I also have the first run time-lapse here that came out after the prototype, and I actually threw this into the pavement 50 times. So I'm kind of hoping that the new time-lapse flies like the one that I drilled into the pavement 50 times. So we'll throw the pavement one first, and then we'll throw the other two. Getting a beautiful turn early in the flight, and then a nice fade at the end. If you have one of the early run time lapses and it is too stable for you, 50 just full power shots into the pavement, fix it right up for you. So this is the original run that has not been beat in against the pavement. Throwing a little harder than I used to throw, so that's actually more usable now than ever. And now we've got the new time-lapse. I'm hoping to see a little bit more turn in the mid-flight than the one I just threw. Oh, wait a minute. All right, we just got a huge turn in the mid-flight. We are throwing into a bit of a headwind, but that first throw got me super excited. You saw the first time-lapse just hard and flat, just swings back to the left almost right away out of the hand. That new time-lapse kept turning for so long, it actually hit the tree on the right side of the fairway. I am super pumped to see that they finally made a time-lapse that has at least some turn in the mid-flight. So I'm super excited to go grab these and throw them out a few more times. I actually think the new tooled time-lapse flies exactly how I wanted the original time-lapse to fly. It flies exactly like the one that I threw into the pavement 50 times. Let's go throw it again. All right, let's see if that was a fluke, but I am pretty confident that I'm gonna be able to get this time-lapse to turn with my 55 to 60-ish mile an hour arm. Super beat up pavement time-lapse first. So you can see getting that easy turn. That's what a lot of people wanted the time-lapse to fly like. Maybe got a little too much turn on that. And now we've got the dolphin run, early run time-lapse. Obviously big beef. That's what most people's time lapses do. And then we've got the new one. All right, please turn. We're gonna throw it as if it's gonna turn. Oh, dude. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we finally have a time lapse that normal people like you and like me can actually throw. So the new run has a bit more dome than the original run, but a bit less dome than the fission. I wish I had a fission to compare it to, because it clearly does not have as much dome as the fission molded one. And it definitely doesn't have as much dome as the trail or the fission trail, but it's got more dome than the early runs. It's got way more turn than the early ones. And it looks like I was able to get some pretty easy, good distance out of that time lapse. I gotta throw this thing a few more times. All right, guys, let's test these out on a little bit of hyzer pop. I am super excited about how these are flying. We'll throw them a little hyzer, see if we can get them to pop up to flat or even pop up to turn. That's the concrete one. Getting a nice flip up to straight and then a fade at the end. I'm gonna line this one up way to the right because on a hyzer pop, she's going big left. Big beef. We knew how that was gonna fly. But let's try the hyzer pop, little hyzer flip action. with the new time lapse. I think I might actually be able to hyzer flip this just a touch. Yeah, see, that almost popped up to flat on a lot of hyzer and just getting huge distance. All right, MVP might have absolutely nailed the time lapse, finally. Every professional disc golfer pretty much has a 12-speed workhorse driver that you can reliably count on again and again and again. And the time lapse has never been that. I don't think for anybody. This run might just be that. And I'm really curious to see if Simon, Eagle, James, maybe Silva, I'm really curious to see if these guys are actually going to throw the new run of time lapse on tour. I'm wondering if this one's just a hair too flippy for Simon, but for monster distance shots or tailwinds, maybe we'll actually see Simon throwing the time lapse on tour finally. That would be something that would really make me happy because I love when players actually throw their own signature discs on tour. I don't think it's that much to ask the pros to throw their signature discs. So Simon, I hope you see this video and I hope you throw the new time lapse on tour. And now that the forehand is back, I can officially say it would not be an Iceberg TV video without a forehand test as well. I think a lot of you guys who watch this channel probably throw a similar speed to me, especially on the backhand. So with that being said, I think you guys are actually really going to like this. I've never been a fan of the time lapse, and I can finally officially say I am a fan of the time lapse. So let's see how they fly on the forehand. Man, I'm so pumped on this. I've been wanting the time lapse to be good since they dropped, and now I feel like they finally are. So let's throw 3 forehands and then we'll wrap things up for today's video. I also got the Eagle McMahon resistor, the new Streamline St. Jude disc. So if you want to see those reviews, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and let me know in the comments below. Concrete forehand. That's crushed. It's funny how hitting that into the pavement so many times turned it into a good time lapse. Now we've got old molded, brand new. Threw that on the most ridiculous anhyzer line I could muster up, and it was still going to flex out of it had it had a little more open space. All right, let's just throw this flat up the meat of the gap and see what kind of flight we get. Yes, that is what we want, folks. That's it. They finally did it. They made a good time lapse for you and me to throw. I'm having a great time throwing it. I'm actually gonna put it in the bag in my driver lineup and continue to use it. All right, you guys let me know in the comments below. Are you excited for this time lapse? Honestly, going into it, I wasn't, and I was ready to say that they didn't fix it and that I still don't like it, but it's completely contrary to the truth. They did fix it and I do like it. So good job, MVP. Good job, Simon. Stay humble, live with gratitude. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video, and take care.